just don't want to knock it over. Okay, so to get started, what I want you guys to do is just introduce yourself and tell me how long you guys have been teaching before we get started answering the questions. So, Kelly, we'll start with you.
My name is Kelly Walston. I've been teaching this year, and I was a permanent sub last semester.
Okay.
My name is Andrea Bolden, and this is my third year teaching.
Okay. All right, thank you, guys. And, we'll go ahead and actually, Kelly, what do you teach?
I teach all things that used to be called home ec, and now they're called CTE, Exploring Careers, Hospitality, and such.
Okay.
I teach 7th grade English, 8th grade reading strategies.
Okay, thank you. And I'm just going to tell you guys, one of the main reasons that I asked both of you to do this, one, because you were nice enough to say yes, but two, because earlier in the week I had Miss Lefevre and Miss King on, and they actually don't interact with students on a daily basis, whereas you guys do interact with students on a daily basis. So I thought it would be a good idea to get differing opinions on our campus visions. So I sent you guys the questions earlier, and so I think what we'll do is we'll just go through the questions and kind of just talk about them informally. I know that you guys had some ideas on them, but our campus vision, I'll just state it so that that I have it stated on the video. It's really simply 3 words: confidence, commitment, and community. So I want you guys to, first off, question 1 was, how does the campus acknowledge, recognize, and celebrate those who implement strategies in support of the campus vision? So, Andrea, since you've been here longer, why don't you start?
Let's see, so...
Well, I have a question for you. Okay, so I know we talked about this before we started filming. We talked about how this was something that you had to actually go and look up. Do you remember back to when you first started teaching? Kelly, this is your first year, but Andrea, do you remember back to when you first started teaching? Did anyone even ever tell you the campus vision?
No, I never knew it was a campus vision until you told me, and then I went to the website and looked it up.
Yeah,
Same.
okay.
Same.
Okay, so same for you, Kelly. Okay, so, and you guys have both been through like the the week-long training. It felt like 2 weeks.
Right.
The week-long training that we did for new teachers. Well, so how do we, I guess before we can answer some of these questions, do you have any ideas on what, that confidence, commitment, and community might mean?
Confidence may mean for us to have, confidence in ourselves to teach the students. Commitment may be just, the commitment that you are to coming to work and being interactive with the students. I know for me it's hard because my class is double blocked, so I have the students for 2 periods, and so that takes a lot of commitment. This year I'm planning for 2 classes, so that's hard as well. And then the community, I do know that we do a lot in the community as far as like clothing drives and food drives, etc. So maybe that has a lot to do with what we do here for the community as well.
Good. Kelly, what did you think?
Mine's different because I took a different perspective. So for confidence, just all 3 of them together, confidence, commitment, and community, I thought more of respect for our school. I thought about the general vision of taking forward up a notch, so to get us off of this, negative connotation that we've had in Allen ISD as being like the worst of the 3 middle schools or something like that. I took it to, hey, we took down our gum wall, and then they started a new gum wall, and I said, no, that's not what we do. It's a pride thing. I pick up litter here, and I talk to, as far as community, I take it to the classroom. I say that they're a community to support each other, and then from there I take it to the school that, we don't throw trash on the floor because this is where we live 9 hours a day, and we don't throw trash where we live. So, and I take that to the pride or the confidence or whatever level, whoever comes to visit our school, if they might have a negative connotation about us, we don't need to reinforce it. We need to do the opposite. We need to step up our game
Okay.
so that we can be proud of where we are.
Yeah. Well, and I think that how it was two totally separate
Yeah.
views on it is perfect, because I think, honestly, when we were talking about it last week with Miss Lefevre and Miss King, we were talking about how, I guess, even though it's really frustrating that it's vague, it's also kind of good because you can take any approach to it that you want. Andrea, you took more of a teacher approach of, the confidence in yourself, which I completely agree with, especially, being in the classroom, and that commitment. Sometimes it's harder than other days, and then the community aspect. Whereas Kelly, you took it from bundled it all together, which I think, since this being your first year, that's what we're trying to do this year, is trying to pull all of those together into that, creating our own stories. Yeah. So that first question, that how do we acknowledge and recognize and celebrate those who implement strategies in support of the campus vision? Kelly, did you have anything specific that you wanted to say to that? Or?
When I see kids do something that makes me proud, like because they've done something nice for each other or something nice for our school, I make a point to just write down their name. But then I have to track down, who do we give this name to? Do we have a citizen of the month or something? And then I did that at the beginning of the year, and nothing was in place yet. And so I just kind of held on to those names until I met up with PALS.
And now they're using that
Yeah.
for PALS. Cool. We were talking about how one of the things that we remembered back when this vision was actually created, actually all three of us were here at the time that it was created, was one of the things that we had shirts printed up and we had it posted all over the school, and one of the things that the assistant principal that created it was talking about how the confidence idea was to instill confidence in students. So maybe shout outs to them, like you said, for doing good things, or I know, Andrea, you teach strategies, and I know that a lot of those kids are building a lot of confidence. I mean, the ones that are in my class have talked about how they feel better, about reading in particular, and that we're committed to being, innovative and reaching all the students, and committed to being a positive presence in the community. What have you found? I know, Andrea, you're using a lot of different ways to reach those strategies, kids. How are you doing that? I mean, I think that would go with that commitment and confidence issue. What are you doing?
So I use a lot of technology with them, because a lot of them, they learn differently. So you have to figure out how they learn, and from that's how I incorporate the different types of activities that I do in class with them. So I have to make sure that whatever I do, that I'm reaching the tactile learner and the auditory learner. So I just make sure that, I'm modeling for them, and we do partner work, and we do, individual work. So just making sure that, we use technology. So just making sure that I use all of those things to make sure that, everyone is learning everything, and they may learn it different, but they're still learning the same strategy.
Yeah, that's cool. Kelly, what are you thinking about?
I was thinking about study skills, actually, and those are some kids that they're kind of on a lot of people's radars. They're on their teachers' radars for not doing what they needed to do. They're on our radars for, oh my gosh, they might not pass. And so I took the commitment to them, because I only have 2 in that class, that I could build a relationship first. And then as long as they're progressing, it's a big deal between a 31 and a 54. It's a big deal between 0, 0, 0, and then one came to me today and he said he made 100 on a science test.
That's good.
And I was so excited. I was like, you don't understand. So at first I did how does that feel in your chest? Doesn't that feel so much better than the other? And so just trying to work with them as far as they're improving. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be hundreds. They just have to be doing better than they were doing when they first came.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah, well, the reason I asked is because we had that conversation, so
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. Okay, so the second question was, how are these contributions and achievements effectively communicated to the staff, students, and community? So we were talking about last week that we still don't have, and I don't know that any school has this in place, a way to really get that kind of stuff out there. Like you said earlier in the year, you were writing down things that you saw that you thought were positive things that the kids were doing, but where do we take it? And I can remember, I mean, we put up in the staff lounge, the shout out board of, things that people have done that are nice for us or that we feel like people have done, and I can remember putting one on there for you, Kelly, for making me tea when I didn't feel good. And so, but what do you guys think? What are some of the ways that you've noticed being here that maybe we do try to communicate these achievements or communicate these good things about our school, these positive things about our school?
I know now we do the Twitter, which we kind of creating our own stories. So I think that's good. And then I know for athletics, they have the player of the week.
Yes.
So they try to do that as well. And then I know in my classroom for my strategies kids, I have different topics. And once the kids feel like they've mastered a topic, then they can take a sticker and then they can put it on that topic. And that way I know, okay, we can move on to the next topic. They've got it down.
That's cool.
So those are just some of the things that I've noticed that, we do to kind of tell the kids, we're watching you, keep up the good work, we're proud of you, etc.
Yeah.
I would say I would be more critical. I would say we have room to improve. Our contributions and achievements are not effectively communicated beyond direct interaction, like beyond a teacher going, "Oh, good job." I don't think we have enough of the kudos in a public way that's or even just for printing something for their refrigerator, that they they get a report card and that's kind of it. We don't really have a public forum for yay.
Yeah.
And I do like that history does the teacher of the month.
Yeah.
I love that they do that for their students.
Yeah,
and then they have the pizza party.
Yeah.
I think it's
Oh,
every
that's
month.
Yeah, and I like that.
I love that they do that.
I didn't realize they were doing a pizza party until last week, and I like that, the idea, because those kids are working. I've heard a lot of kids going, I really want that pizza party. Busting their butts trying to get that pizza party. So I like that. Well, I think that kind of going back to this idea of this is a weird age group because they're not elementary anymore, and they were used to getting those things, those kudos sent home, and getting their parents to see it, and then you get to middle school, and I used to teach 7th. Andrea, you teach 7th. You teach 7th and 8th, Kelly. So I think that figuring out a way to send that out. I know that I think it's really interesting. I always feel I've had, maybe I can count on one hand the amount of times I've emailed a parent to say, hey, your student, is really going above and beyond and doing a great job. And maybe, I know we've been talking this year about communicating with parents a lot more, especially about failures. Maybe we need to think about communicating with parents a lot more about, positives, things that they're doing really well with. So, question 3 was, how does the campus use innovative thinking, risk-taking, or failures as a learning experience? And it's to promote the campus vision. But what do you guys think about our innovative thinking and risk-taking? Do you feel like we're doing a good job, or what do you think? What are some ways that we are hitting that?
I think Susan Horowitz is a risk taker. I think she puts herself out there and makes herself a target sometimes for our benefit.
Yeah.
I think about just what's been told me, but as far as technology and getting things for our school. I think as far as our failures, every time we refer to ourselves as the ghetto school, we reinforce the failure. It doesn't serve us. And so I just want to erase that from everyone's palate. Like, just be done with that. We're moving on.
Yeah. What do you think, Andrea?
I agree with her. I feel like Susan does go above and beyond to make sure that we are ahead of the other two middle schools. I am surprised that we have more technology.
I love that she told us that at that faculty meeting. I was like, yes, we do. Yeah.
So I do appreciate the fact that she does go above and beyond for us. As far as failures, I don't feel like, a lot of our students are failures. I feel like we are in the same category with everyone else, and we are just as good, and we can compete with the other two middle schools.
Yeah.
So I appreciate Susan and her risk taking, because she does go above and beyond for us.
Yeah. Well, and I think that Kelly, do you want to
And
say
going
something?
back, what was said to me that I believe I agree with was that given the resources that we have, and given the resources that some of the other if everyone came from a family that they all went to college and their parents are engaged and whatever, our scores aren't that much different than theirs. There's a lot of teachers that are fully committed to helping these kids get maybe what they don't get at home. And so that's the innovative, that's the commitment, that's the, that's where we put our bang for our buck, is in not slacking off. We have to step up.
Yeah.
And so we've stepped up so that we're almost even, right?
Yeah. No, I
As far as
agree.
I
And
understand.
I think
I
that
agree.
when we put ourselves out there, I think that builds confidence in the kids, because a lot of them, I don't think that it's not that they can't do it. I feel like it's all in their mind.
Right.
So I feel like that sometimes when we're like, okay, no, you can do this. Let's sit down and figure out like what we need to do. And I feel like that helps them become more confident so that they can do the best that they can do.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that also trying to, I think also this, how we've been doing this push for technology and different types of learning, the flipped classroom, Canvas, all of that we're using right now is, right now the kids might not feel like it's working for them, especially like, say, that flipped classroom. But I feel like, when they get to high school, they're going to really see, oh, it does work for me because I've been doing this since 7th grade science, or I've been doing this, I've been using Canvas since 7th grade with all my history classes, so I know to go online and look, and, I know that we're doing a big push right now in the whole district to every class do Canvas, but, I like that we were one of the schools that piloted that, and I was just thinking of, the flipped classroom and how science has been doing that now. This is, I want to say, the 3rd or 4th year.
It's their 30 year.
Yeah, because they were doing it before we even started Canvas. And I remember doing one last year when we had that conference, that flipped conference come through the district, and they all came to school here, and, like an idiot, I'm like, sure, I'll volunteer to do, to have people in my room, and it turned out they wanted a flipped lesson, and I had never done a flipped lesson before. And so we did it, and I remember there were about 5 or 6 people in my room, and they happened to come into my one class period that only, of the 20 kids, 5 of them actually went on and did the flipped lesson. And so we had to have a lesson on what you do if you don't have kids that do the flipped lesson. And I remember one guy emailing me later and going, hey, I know that probably was embarrassing for you, but it really helped me because he said, as an English teacher, trying to do flipped lessons are tough. And it's easy for science or for history if you've got a lecture prepared, but because we were doing the Holocaust, and he's like, it's really tough to do something like the Holocaust. And he said it was actually helpful to see how you reacted to those kids that didn't do it. And I thought that I was so mortified, and I ripped those kids. You guys, really, these people, and some of them were from out of state, and I was like, really, come on, guys. So, anyway, so the idea of failures and using them as a learning experience. Okay, that last question was, what processes are used here to improve morale, which moves the campus toward the realization of the campus vision. So what kind of morale building have you?
I would, especially in my study skills, so I took a kid that's probably never had many nice things said in his direction, and I told him, I found out you're smart. And he said, oh no, no. And I said, no, it's cat's out of the bag. I heard that you're smart, and so now we're going to step it up a little, and I'm going to treat you like you're smart every day. And he goes, oh, please don't, but we did it tongue in cheek, and we already had rapport built up, and he's the same kid who made the 100.
Yeah.
And so I always take it back to the connections. So every opportunity we have a moment to connect with the kids, that's where it starts. And from there it grows, and from enough kids, then it'll be the community, it'll be the school, and there's your vision. Like, you just have to, but it's every little choice that we make to either miss that opportunity and just go through the motions and call it a day, or we can't let those opportunities pass.
Do you think it's hard to do that with how have you found, because I know that you have the study skills with the 2 kids in it, so that's an awesome opportunity to build that relationship. What about, like, say, your period that has, like, close to
The 28?
Yeah.
It's been challenging, but it's so rewarding, because when you make that shift, now my classes that are 10 and 11 are more troublesome, but we already have that rapport. So it just depends on the day, really, who's going to give me trouble. But we took enough time, because of my subject areas, we get to do self-assessment a lot. And we get to do, they get to reflect on who they are and what they bring to the table a lot. And so I get a lot of opportunity to find out about them during those first weeks of school. And then it just keeps growing. So I'm lucky in my lessons, but I can see where if you had to check.
No, I was just curious. What about you, Andrea?
I have noticed Kelly is right. The more you build a relationship with the students, then the more they are able to trust you, and then they're able to, they try their best, because sometimes they feel like they don't want to let you down, because they feel like they know that you're giving them 110%, and they feel like they want to match you. That's what I've come, especially with some of my strategies kids. Like, I've noticed, they really want to work hard, and they really want to pass the test, and so some of them really do put their all in. So if I'm there and I'm encouraging them, and we're going back and forth, and I've just noticed that, they really give me 110%, which makes me feel better, because I know that I give them 110,
more than that.
So it just makes me feel better that, some of them, they are trying, and they are trying their best. So I've kind of really appreciated them, some of them.
Yeah. Well, I think that, I think it's really interesting because, the morale, I think it goes back to that idea that we were talking about earlier, that our school in particular is seen as the ghetto school, and it's horrible to say that. We do have a larger, lower socioeconomic, population. We do have a larger, at-risk population. So, but it's just so frustrating. But I think that a lot of those kids need that boost, need that somebody actually cares about me. I find it really interesting, and of course I won't say any names, but, Andrea, you and I have worked with a student that I did not know was homeless until, what was that, a month ago.
Right.
I found out she was homeless. Really working with her one-on-one has been amazing at how just changed she is, She's turning work in. It's really good work. She's trying really hard, but, finding out that information, being able to use that information to go, okay, well, I'm not sending homework home with her. I'm going to do everything we can in class. We're going to do it together, and she's in my 29, one of my 29 classes. So, but it has made a huge difference. And so, anyway, thank you guys for, your help. We've gone through all the questions. Is there anything you guys wanted to say about our vision? It's interesting because talking to you guys, the vision, we've focused it mainly on students, which I love, talking to Ms. Lefevre and Ms. King, we focused it mainly on teachers and administration, which was really interesting too, because it's two totally separate ideas of what that vision, what it includes. So what did Kelly do?
I think it's ironic that so much of our training at the beginning of the summer, or end of the summer, was Alan's vision.
Mhm.
And we got a lot of that. We
Yes.
got reiterated, da, 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 da,
Yeah.
da.
The
And,
Allen way.
Right.
Yes.
and there's never a question. It's like, these are what we're
doing.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So, and I think we could do more
With our
with
vision,
our
our
own,
school.
and
Yeah.
how to marry those two,
Uh-huh.
and what that looks like. It was talked about in conversation, but it certainly was never the emphasis.
Right. Right. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.